We have yet another model suggesting that Bitcoin has a 73.33% of overall continuation on the weekly time frame. That is with, well, in this case, more upside. Anyways, other than that, I want to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Monday morning, and we can just jump right into this one. We'll make it nice and short and sweet, at least I think. So first things first, I want to bring over this chart here, the accumulation distribution indicator chart on the weekly. I want to give a shout out to Mr. J35 in the Discord for giving me the tip off on this one, because actually it's usually not a time frame that I really care about on this particular indicator, but well, I've gone through the history here, and it was certainly a lot more interesting than what I thought it was going to be. So in this case, the accumulation distribution indicator is essentially the net delta indicator, giving you, the net delta between buys and sells in essence. And what are we looking at on the weekly time frame? Well, we're looking at the times when this indicator particularly turns green after being red. So you can see what I'm talking about is like around the zero read when you get that first tick of green. So that has happened 15 prior times throughout Bitcoin's full history, where we've seen the indicator itself turn green from around that zero read after being red. And if you can see on the chart right here, it does correlate generally well with continuation of long-term uptrends. Now, you will also note that there are some severe failures here, definitely. In fact, 4 out of the 15 were, I would say, pretty severe failures, meaning that Bitcoin just dumped afterwards and continued dumping afterwards. But there's actually a very an incredibly important nuance with that, in the sense that all of the times that we've seen that happen were coming during periods of weekly downtrends for Bitcoin, like heavy weekly downtrends. For example, I can give you these two over here in 2018. 2 of the 4 come right here, actually. Again, weekly downtrend coming off the 2018 parabolic blow off top. And this green read over here, boom, dump it. This green read over here, well, it technically did pop up a little bit before, but ultimately this was not necessarily any sort of continuation, or sorry, any sort of an uptrend, really. Just a little bit of a bounce within the context of an overall downtrend. And yeah, things did go down much further than that over time. Anyways, another example over here would be this one in particular from 2014. Again, weekly downtrend, boom, pops up. Again, just down after that. So one of the keys in this one is understanding what sort of a trend you're in, and I just completely whiffed where that one was, so we'll go back there. But generally, especially if Bitcoin's in a weekly uptrend, these signals are continuation signals. Doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't play out a pullback from there, similar to what we did see perhaps over here, I would say, in August of 2020, where it did turn green initially and then did dump back down a little bit after that. It doesn't look like much on this chart, but it actually was, I think, at least I remember it as being a decent move. All right, about a 20% move on a wick basis. But as you can see, the weekly uptrend did remain intact, and obviously the rest was, well, biblical history of epic proportions for long-term upside. Anyways, going back into this current iteration right here, what do you know? It's just turned green, actually, for the first time, and very clearly Bitcoin is operating within the context of an uptrend. It's not coming off of, parabolic blow-off cycle highs, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So the likelihood of this one continuing up, I would say, is probably even higher than 73.33%, just because it's not like it's unlike the other losers that we do have within this data set. So, even 73.33% is pretty fucking good. It's not 100%, obviously. Again, when we're talking about statistics, we're not talking about certainties. There's no such thing as certainties within trading, or at least if you do have it, well, I'd like to know your secrets, my man. Or my woman, or my he, she, her, zerns, and herpity derps. That's probably also a pronoun by this point as well, which is good, because we need to include the herpity derps as well. There's absolutely no reason why they've been discriminated against for so long, and I think it's absolutely abhorrent that such things have been waylaid for this time in history. Anyways, so again, just another thing that does suggest, hey, Bitcoin probably continues from here. Fucking crazy. The same narrative that we've had on this channel for almost a full year now. Basically coming back in from, I think we called the low on this channel. Not exact. I mean, we did look for a bounce at 15,000, but didn't really call the low until late December. That was when it was like, oh, that looks a lot like a higher low in the making. Okay, time to not be so fucking bearish, huh? Anyways, so upwards and onwards. Again, we just have another model here that does say, Probably yes. Probably yes. Or at least more likely. More likely. All right. Other than that, I did just want to go over here to the weekly closure for Bitcoin specifically. Spot, that is. Obviously, we already saw the CME weekly closure, but in this case, several things are happening here. Bitcoin closing back above the big breakdown level from, January of 2022, or just this base that was set in during January of 2022 and then resolved, of course, in May of 2022. I think that was during the Lunar 3AC or whatever the hell scam that was going on back then. Who knows? Doesn't matter. Could this area be back tested? Yeah, no problem. That would be all the way down towards the low $33,000. But ultimately, especially as long as Bitcoin's above, I would even say 32. The direction remains, the path of least resistance in this case would remain to the upside. Looking at that, do I think that we could get a pullback in the short term? Definitely possible. Of course, keep in mind that CME did close Friday. Where did it close Friday? It closed Friday at 33,950. So, a bit of a gap right there, if you will. So short term can come back down, no problem. Even like I just said, I wouldn't even be super, it wouldn't be super concerning to me to see it even come down to like 32 or 32.5. I just don't want to see it below 32. That's where these things start to fall apart, I do suspect. But as of right now, continuing to hold this, around this $34,000 region, which is pretty damn good after a week of like 20 to 30% pump, or I think it was like 20% pump actually just for last week alone. Yeah, close to 20%. Hold on to most of that. Generally a good sign as well. On heavy volume, on a big breakout of a long-term level. Holy shit, this is crazy. Fucking crazy. Why do we complicate things? Because the internet, and because my bearish thesis has not been invalidated yet. It's like, sir, what have you been doing for the last fucking year? Like, if you still have a bearish thesis after this, it doesn't matter because you missed this whole move. That's not good trading. Maybe that's a personal opinion. I'm sure that there's going to be some YouTube comments that are like, fuck you, man. It is. And I'm still in cash. Fair enough. Because it's going to crash. $10,000 target, no fucking less. Okay. All right. I believe you. And I'm also spending it all as of right now, too. Yeah. What else do we have? Oh, yeah, we do have some important things over here, I should say. The HPDR bands on the daily, the range has severely stepped up now. So this is good. This does suggest that we could very easily see continuation this week now. So before I was saying, hey, we're probably not going to see continuation, at least until these ranges start to step up with the 50% of historic returns range kind of meeting around current price action. That has now happened. Doesn't mean it has to be today, but, as this week starts to fill out, I would suspect if there's going to be another try to the upside, it could probably happen Tuesday, Wednesday area. Tuesday, I believe, is the most bullish day for Bitcoin anyways, so might make sense there. But yeah, it's setting in a base here. And again, where's the bottom side now of the 50% of historic returns range lows? It's actually at around 31,850. So technically speaking, I guess that would be the lowest level that I'd be looking at to start to consider major reversals, and this being one massive nasty bull trap, and zero is the next target. Maybe hyperbole right there, but fair enough. Do you want to see this one step up a little bit more? But obviously, one thing before the next, and this one was a big leg up right here, which is significant. Anyways, we can go ahead and check out stochastic momentum. The new weekly has opened, and the weekly stochastic oscillator continues to remain to the upside direction as long as Bitcoin's above 27,800. Looking pretty good. Volatility expanding for the first time since many months, many moons. 5-day time frame, same thing, 27,400 actually is a pivot, so it's a little bit below the weekly, which is interesting. 2-day time frame is way up there at 31.7. Again, starting to get pretty critical right there. Volatility not as high, I would say. So could remain here for a little bit longer, but Bitcoin will hit like a good top. Bitcoin will hit a pretty damn good top after at least after probably one more try to the upside. Daily time frame will turn down below 34,250. Right now trading about $200 above that pivot. Again, in the critical zone here. So that's why I do say like these rallies, like long term, still look good. In the more medium term, it's like it could consolidate for a while and let that cool off. 12-hour time frame turns down below 34,700. Again, extremes here. So shorter term time frames probably not ready for today. 6 hour time frame going to be showing $35,000 as the current pivot. So probably unlikely. 4 hour time, at least on the next period. 4 hour time frame is showing 34,450, and hourly time frame is showing 34,700. So a little bit of flippy floppy there. Probably comes back down, fills a gap. At minimum, does it try again to the upside in the more near term from there? I don't know. I think it probably tries later this week if it's going to be trying. So yeah, I think this is a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Again, this was just the big thing over here. Again, this is a weekly time frame. Weekly time frame is 7 dailies, so you can fit 7 fucking days into one of these highly esteemed dildos right here. And so we could easily see like a little some more daily sideways, but weekly continuation coming into November, as we went over yesterday's video. November, generally good for Bitcoin, especially after a green September. So I think I'll leave things right there. As always, I want to wish you the best of the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow for Tuesday, baby. Tuesday is the day.